All right, so the contractor showed back up to finish my roof. So as far as today's progress, they put, I just still call it fascia board, even though it's on the end. Fascia board is typically on the side, but end is fascia board to me. So they capped the ends of the 2x6s, and we used 2x8 material. They've got that all done and ready to go, and I'll explain why they use 2x8 material. All right, so this is the side that it might start making sense, although now here it is late in the afternoon and you might not can see. So that we've got the 2x8 fascia board, and I don't know if y'all could see that little crack right there. They cut a whole bunch of shims, and they have shimmed that fascia board out perfectly level. So really happy they did that. That takes extra time, but it's very much needed because we're going to put gutters on there. Now you can look at this end, it's perfect. Whereas before, the purlin stopped kind of like this. I'm just going to over exaggerate, and you would have had a gutter hanging like that. So they shimmed the board out, got it nice and perfectly level to ground, and got it set up for some seamless gutters that we're going to wind up doing. So the reason why we went 2x8, if you'll look, we went 2x8 to actually drop down beneath, although there's still a corner we may have to trim off. We want to drop down beneath the truss because later we have to come back and put in our soffit. One thing I thought was pretty neat, again, I'm new to home building, but they went ahead and laid every single thing out today and pre-drilled their holes for code spacing and just ease of putting a screw in. Me, just being, you know, a typical DIYer, I've always just stuck the screw down, tried to drill, the nail or screw goes around, the drill goes around, eventually you'll punch it through. They're actually taking the time to pre-drill every hole, space it out perfectly for the 24-inch on centers. So when you get up there, you just stick the tip of the screw right in there and you're going to town. That's some good forethought right there. I kind of like that. What you finding over there? Inspecting everything for me? So as you can see behind me, here's all that transition metal, ridge cap, tin, everything set up. We will probably kick it in the time lapse tomorrow and show them just kind of putting the roof up. We'll do another long talk after that, let you know spacing, everything, maybe talk a little bit about code and what's in plans, and we're going to keep moving along on this thing. Crew just packed up and left. The roof is officially done, at least the top section. We'll talk about some of that. So, looks a little different, doesn't it? So here we are on the roof. We'll go ahead and give you this view right here and talk a little bit about what we've got going on. So here is the porch roof, and you can see there is a transition coming from the 4 to 12 roof pitch down to the 1.5 by 12, and they had to put metal underneath that is called transition metal. It slides way up underneath this piece and gives you a transition to the outside. That'll help with blowing water and rain that could go up underneath. All right, so something that I know you have to have, and I completely agree with, the contractor was telling me that new code requires screws be on either side of every single rib on the edges. And I like that, because if there's a place that tin is going to fail and lift from, it's always at the edge. Out here in the field, it's critical, but it's nowhere near as critical as that edge. There's actually more screws out here in the field than I was expecting. So happy with that. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, why are the screws down in the troughs in the valleys and not up here on the peaks? If you look at this new style tin, this is actually rounded over up here. If you shot a screw in there, I don't even know if it would seal up very well. A lot of people may have debates on that. Let me know, but in my area, I see just about every metal roof going on with the screws down here in the trough. And if code requires that you have to be on either side of the rib, there's no way you can put one in the trough, especially on the edges. Code doesn't allow it. So you can see they did the same thing up here once we start on the main section of the roof. An edge, a point that it could lift, either side. And they told me that transition metal now has to go through every ridge top. Kind of the same thing you see up here with the ridge vent. Every single screw has to go down through each metal rib. The other thing that's critical, a lot of this tin, it's hard to see, but it has overlaps. Like right here is one of the overlaps. You can just see a gap there. So this tin locks over this piece of tin. You have got to make sure the screws are right here near the edge of this piece that locks over. So you can see they pre-drilled and marked everything. If they had put a screw here, that wouldn't be holding this down. You know, one here, one here. It's got to be on the very edge of the piece that locks down and holds the other tin in place. So as I'm walking on this roof, it feels very, very sturdy. You've got the decking underneath. Everything's been blocked with 2x6 blocking. Here's the other thing that these guys did that I don't even know if I would have ever thought of, and I'm the type of guy that thinks of these type of things. I was wondering why they marked and pre-drilled every single screw on the ground. That seemed like a lot of work, but I was like, okay, you know, sometimes it's hard to get screws started and to go down in through the metal. Maybe that's why. But what they did is they tried to mark where every 2x6 purlin was underneath. So not only did the screw go into the 1/2-inch decking underneath, it went through the decking into the 2x6 purlin. Now, of course, they missed some. That's just going to happen. But they didn't miss many at all. I thought that was an awesome thing to do. Whereas it seems like most roofers just get up and kind of shoot screws into the 1/2-inch or 3/4-inch decking, call it good enough. But the fact that they tried to measure everything else out and take the time to hit the purlins, I thought that was pretty awesome. That'll make this a very strong structure and a lot less likely to ever lift any tin. Now, as far as this metal goes on the side, this is called rake metal, and it actually bends and goes around the side of the building. Now, whenever I put my aluminum soffit on the side, it'll go up underneath this piece right here, slide up underneath it. So there'll be no board showing at that point. It'll be completely weather resistant. This rake metal also keeps wind from blowing up underneath the side and lifting your tin. All right, so what I was explaining up on the roof, these 2x6 purlins that run this way, I come back and had them add blocking in between, so there was no seams of the 4x8 sheeting material exposed. Makes it very strong. But all these 2x6 purlins that run this direction, they laid that tin out and tried to screw into every one of those. So that was some awesome thought on their part. Most people, I don't know if they do that or not. I just see typically most contractors just put a ton of nails or screws right into this plywood, which is acceptable, but it's going to make it even stronger trying to screw into these purlins. So then it holds the tin down, as well as even you know, there's more holding the plywood down now, cinching it down into those purlins. So that's pretty awesome. Like I said, they did miss in a few spots, but my goodness, I would have missed everywhere, or maybe not even thought about doing that. So I appreciate them doing that. So here it is from the other side. It's hard to get a view of that porch because it's such a low pitch. You can see we got some discolored sheets. That's from where they laid on the ground. We'll get a couple good rains here, check everything out, and that'll kind of clean the roof off. But overall, we've got a roof. It looks good. So thank y'all so much for watching. I'm sure you're going to have tons of questions like, why did it get screwed the way it did? Hopefully that explains some of it. Some people probably going to want to know why we didn't go with seamless metal roof, you know, like standing seam, things like that. again, it's really for cost. We bought this pole barn package as a kit, and it come with that roofing, it come with the screws, it come with all that stuff. I did upgrade the thickness of the metal to 26 gauge because most packages come with that real thin 29 gauge stuff. So that was something you could do. But if we'd have started doing standing seam and all these other additional upgrades, at that point you might as well just build a traditional house, and you wouldn't get the savings of buying a package deal like this right here. If you have any further questions, drop them down in the comments. Thank y'all so much for watching. We're going to keep moving along on the house. So, just up here enjoying the view. Have been for quite a while. A long while. You're probably wondering why. Yep, that's my ladder down there. Good old wind blew it down. That's the first. That's the first. Thank God I brought my cell phone with me.